News Radio WFLA Orlando and still on AM 540. And now for our weekly look at legal issues in the news with our in-house legal expert, Attorney Tom Olson. This is Olson on Law.
Alan Spector here, and yes, every Thursday at this time, we bring you Olson on Law with longtime Orlando attorney Tom Olson. I should say almost every Thursday. We didn't have Tom last week. I think he, like me, took some time off during the holiday weekend, right, Tom?
We were in West Virginia, as a matter of fact, and believe it or not, it was cold up there.
Really? Well, you weren't far from me. I was in Virginia over Labor Day weekend. Wow, what a coincidence. So, Tom, you're back safe and sound, as I am, and we want to talk about one of your specialties, and that's wills. Now, suppose someone comes to you and says, I got kids, I really don't like them that much. Do I have to put them in my will?
You know, surprisingly, Alan, a lot of clients come to me thinking that they have to include their adult children, but in fact, here in the state of Florida, you have no obligation to leave anything to your adult children. And usually people do, but sometimes there's a good reason why somebody may not include one or more of their adult children in their estate plan.
Yeah, and adults, when they become adults, that's when they usually go bad. The kids are pretty good up till then, and then, forget it. Now, does Florida law have any requirements, Tom, about who you have to include in your will?
Yeah, the only obligation under Florida law is that you must include your minor children and you must include your spouse. A lot of people are surprised to learn that in the state of Florida, by the very fact of being married, you are obligated to leave at least 30% of your estate to your spouse.
Well, I've known people who got married later in life, have children from previous marriages, kept their finances separate with the idea of leaving what they have to their children. Now, can they do that?
So, Alan, occasionally a man will come to me and say that very thing. Tom, I got married later in life. We both have children from previous marriages. We've intentionally kept our assets separated. Tom, do a will for me that says when I die, everything goes to my children. And I tell him, I will do that will for you, but I'm going to make you sign a disclaimer that states that if you pass away with a will like that, your spouse can step in and say, I don't care what his will says. I want what I'm entitled to. And that's at least 30% of everything.
So is there any way around leaving your spouse at least 30% of your estate? I'm just asking.
Just in case, Alan.
Yeah.
The way around it is through a prenuptial agreement. So if you're getting married later in life, have children from previous marriages, a prenuptial agreement is the way to go. The same thing can be accomplished through a postnuptial agreement if you forgot to get it done before you got married.
Let me ask you, if you do get married later in life, you have children from a previous marriage, you've included them in your will, and you decide, I want to leave some of that money I was going to leave to my kids to my new wife. Can you do that?
Yeah, even if you do a prenuptial agreement, you are still welcome to leave something to your spouse. You're just no longer obligated to under Florida law. So the prenuptial agreement, you're waiving a right to each other's estate. But if you still want to leave something to your spouse, you're welcome to.
If you have legal questions, Tom is happy to answer them on the Olson on Law show. That is heard Saturdays at 1 p.m. on News Radio WFLA Orlando. And just a reminder, Tom and I do these Thursday morning segments on Zoom, and you can watch the video on our Facebook page. Tom, thanks very much. We will see you next time.
Thank you, Alan.
And remember, for all of your legal needs, call the Olson Law Group in Orlando.